I'm Chad Smith, and got some time before the tournament season begins. We're down here in Central Florida. What better time from coming down from up north to hop around some new bodies of water and shake the dust off things. We're hopping on a new lake here today, and we're gonna go exploring, kind of break it down. So really, when you get here to a brand new body of water you've never been on, a lot of the work starts before you even get to the ramp. So you're looking at things like Google satellite, you know, different kind of species in the body of water, maybe the average size fish, stuff like that. And really the satellite comes into play. So you're looking at the different kind of vegetation and structure on the lake, you know, kind of the water clarity, maybe where it gets clearer or dirtier. And we've got a cold front. The mornings and nights have been super cold. So we're gonna maybe look around some of those spawning areas, but maybe staying outside of them, or you know, just kind of start out moving fast. And that's kind of the biggest thing for me. I like to cover some water, see if you can pick up a few bites. And then from there, you really kind of end up fine tuning some things. So right when you get out here, we might do a lap around the lake. It's not a very big lake, and get a lay of the land, see what it actually looks like, because sometimes that satellite imaging isn't updated. First impression getting out here, we just came out of the ramp and we're kind of just starting to idle, honestly. So right now it's looking pretty barren. We've got some Kissimmee grass and pads kind of up against the bank a little closer, but we're staying off of it a little bit, seeing if we can find any offshore grass like some hydrilla or eel grass. So we're gonna kind of work over towards some of these flatter areas. Right now we're kind of on a steeper break going into the middle of the lake, but as we get to this north side of the lake, it looks like it starts to flatten out a little bit. So we might be able to find some more grass off around there, but really just kind of taking your time, using your electronics, and getting a lay of the land is so important. It really helps you to realize what you're fishing, and sometimes find those little secret hidden gems that a lot of other people typically won't be finding and putting in the time to find. Notice there's a lot of Kissimmee grass edges, and we're with some isolated pad patches kind of all around it. And so figured we'd start fishing a little bit, waiting for that sun and this fog to clear up a little bit. But we're just kind of, right now I'm just fishing a bladed jig around the edge of this Kissimmee grass. We're not seeing a whole lot of offshore grass at the moment. It looks like the lake's a pretty sandy bottom lake. So we are just kind of starting making a few casts. And you know, a big key is really paying attention to the detail. You know, any little subtle movements can clue you into maybe something going on. Like right there, I'm just seeing like some shad or something bust or some kind of bait. And just kind of paying attention to those, you know, watching every little stem of weeds. But as that sun gets higher, you know, just paying attention to your shadow, where your shadow is, trying to be as stealthy as you can. Coming up here in front of us, we've got a little point that extends out. And so just those little differences and subtleties, and after a long straight shot of something, you know, that can make the difference. So just really paying attention to those subtle differences can go a long way. These Florida bass don't like cold fronts, from everything I know. We're using our Lowrance active target a lot to just kind of pan around and look for any fish or just any other kind of structure out in front of us that we can see before we actually come up to it. But try fishing a jerkbait along this edge. Try fishing it real slow because it's a cold morning. So right now, just to keep a bait in the strike zone a lot more when these fish are a little less active. And also gonna rig up a little swim bait that I can reel across the top of it to try to get some of these active fish, because the bait definitely seems to be right on the edge or up in it a little bit. So we're gonna keep it all honest until we get a clue. Kind of a rule of thumb I've been trying to follow is if I think of something more than one time, just stop and do it. But staying organized is super important to me. I think it just keeps me a lot more efficient on the water. As far as I can see, I mean, there might be a couple docks on the other side, but this is the only dock on this entire stretch. So slowing down around, again, just paying attention to those differences. So as we get up here, you know, might flip around the dock post or something like that, and just slowing down a little bit, because that usually holds to be a lot more higher percentage area along a stretch that seems to be continuously the same. After we fish this dock, we might move over to the sunny side of the lake. Things might heat up, you know, quicker over there. So that's gonna be something I think we're looking for with this cold front. So we got to the sunny side. As you can see, I already shed a couple layers, because if you think about it, I mean, bass kind of perform like we are. If you're hot and you want to go in the shade, if you're cold, I mean, get in the sun. So at least that's one theory, but we'll see if it holds true. We're on the north end of the lake.
Edges.
They're just smart, they know it. Oh, it ain't much, but that is our first bite out here. We're gonna spend the next little bit idling, just out here in no man's land. See if we can't find something, you know. I mean, on lakes like this that there isn't much going on, like here, look at this. This is actually a perfect example. There's a brush pile right there. So we're gonna mark that. Nothing for a long time, and then all of a sudden, there's just a little group of them. So that's huge. That's the money. Hopefully, at least looking like this, that's something we have not seen yet. So we're gonna mark that, keep idling. Something I like to do is coming back to that structure after idling over it, because sometimes you can spook those fish and they'll disperse, but come back to it after being left alone for a little bit. So we're gonna keep idling, keep looking, but that was a good sign. We haven't seen anything like that so far. So we're coming up to that brush pile, or whatever it was. Just kind of creeping up. We're a few hundred feet from it. I keep touching the icon to see how far we are. It'll show you as we creep up closer. And my active target seems like about 100 feet away is a good range and good casting distance to keep away from it. So we're just kind of waiting until we get close to that, and we'll stop, coast in there, and try to find it on active target and see if we can put a worm in front of a big one. So we're just over 100 feet away from this brush. Gonna creep up on it. Oh, oh my gosh. Not very big, but slowly getting a couple more clues and trying to piece the puzzle together, but we are working for it. Fishing an offshore brush pile we found. Alright, let's break out a little finesse worm. Break out a little biospawn plasma tail. This is a bread and butter technique for me. I fished it a bunch as a co-angler. It's just a straight up fish catcher. Seems like when you first get somewhere, you end up, you know, with all these ideas, and it's really, really exciting. And then as you start to see more and more of the lake and realize what it has to offer, you know, you start to resort back to some areas, just paying attention to those little details. If you saw some brush out in front of some weeds in one spot, you're kind of like, okay, running out of ideas, and then you think of that. That habit of really fishing hard throughout a whole day, when you come somewhere and you put in a full day and you keep switching up, you know, trying new things and switching from things that aren't working, you get to really get a lay of the land of the lake that you're on. And so the next time you come here, you know, you can maybe rule out a few things. That's what time on the water is going to do for you. You're going to see more scenarios. This is going to be a day that, you know, even though it was tough fishing, you still can learn a lot from it. So that's what I'm looking to do. It's it's good practice no matter how the day of fishing actually goes. It's still you're doing out here practicing your craft, and it pays off in the long haul, definitely.